I'm need is for everyone to leave addiction, mental health, recovery out your mouth if you are going to weaponize it. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. How are you guys doing today? It's a rough day, work from home day. So I wanted to sit here and have a real quick conversation with you guys because I'm tired. I am so tired of people weaponizing mental health, recovery, addiction against people. And I wanted to have a conversation with you guys about it. If you are new here, welcome. This is Journey to Find Kay and I'm Kay. I like to talk about mental health. I like to react to the rewired soul because I'm a mental health patient, worker, and advocate. And I want to use my platform, my experience, my voice to negate some of the negative things that are put out here on YouTube. So if you like my content, don't be afraid to hit the subscribe button down below. Hit the bell so that way you're also notified every time I post a video. You guys, the reason why I wanted to hop on here and have a quick conversation with you guys is I am so sick and tired of people weaponizing mental health, weaponizing addiction and recovery. I'm so tired. I have been on Twitter, I've been on this platform, sitting here just looking at comments. It's nothing really new, but people love to weaponize mental health and addiction.
I don't get it.
I don't understand why when there's so many resources, there's so many different articles and news topics that come out trying to supposedly break this stigma and normalize it for people to understand it a little bit better. But yet you can still get on Twitter, you can still get on YouTube and see people hinting and laughing and joking. And I'm so frustrated at seeing this because as someone who has worked in this field for so long and as someone who is in recovery herself, I see how demeaning it is, I see how belittling it is, and it's not okay. So I made this platform because I wanted to talk about mental health. I wanted to break the stigma that is surrounding mental health and addiction and kind of educate along the way if I'm able to for people who might be confused. And one thing that is so disheartening to see is when someone gets up on their platform and shares that they are in recovery or they're struggling with addiction, you can go straight to the comments and see people saying, well, I wish you would do this, or I wish you would relapse, or you're going to relapse, judging this person who is just ultimately trying to share their story of them trying to get better. It's so hypocritical because I can guarantee that half of these people wouldn't walk up to someone who has a chronic illness, who's in the hospital saying, oh,
well, you should die from diabetes.
Would never treat someone that way who has a chronic illness. So I don't understand why it's okay to sit here and belittle people, degrade, name call, joke about someone who is struggling with mental health and addiction. Most recent example is this whole thing with a drama channel named Snider. He goes by the viewer's voice. He had gone through some drama, and I don't even care about that right now because it's not even that important, but it makes sense to the backstory of why people are trying to use this against him. He had some drama with his friends who are other drama community. People have been making videos about them, and I've hopped into a couple of lives to where I'm seeing these people go on their platform and they're like,
oh, did you see this tweet? I bet he relapsed. I bet, oh, I'm not going to say that for real, because we really don't know, but I bet that's probably what was going on. Why would he act that way?
Why are you doing that? Pleasure do you get from speculating about someone's addiction, about their recovery? And how is that helping your narrative? If you're calling someone out for their behaviors or what you think is shady behaviors, what does that have to do with whether or not they relapsed or not? Why is that your go-to insult, your go-to line to jab at somebody? Can we sit down and reflect? Can we sit down and do a little bit of moral inventory and try to understand why the first thing come out of our mouth is, oh, I bet they're using again? Why? Why is that the case? Why do you feel so comfortable and so okay with trying to weaponize someone's recovery and addiction or their mental illness? Because we're sitting here and we're supposedly in these times where people are so cognizant and understanding and get that a lot of people we wouldn't even expect are struggling with mental health, maybe struggling with addiction. We put this front out that we really want people to get better. We want them to do better. We want them to feel better. Yet you still feel the need to go into someone's comments or to tweet at them that they're using their addiction for sympathy. If you really understood what addiction was about, you wouldn't even let that come out your mouth. You would automatically just empathize with that person and maybe offer some sympathy. That's my issue. The comment, when people make these type of comments, it is showing that they truly don't understand mental health or addiction. And I say mental health and or addiction because a lot of times addiction crosses into mental health and vice versa. A lot of times people who are dealing with addiction might be self-medicating for a mental illness or some mental health concerns. With that understanding, how is it okay for you to sit here and use someone's personal struggles with a disease, with an illness, with a disorder as a way to make you feel better about what you're saying or what you're doing? That's why it comes across like, oh, he's lying. Who would want to lie about what almost killed them? I'm not saying there aren't people out there who wouldn't lie, but I'm saying the majority of people would not sit here and try to use their story of them almost dying as a way to get views and garner sympathy. I feel for Nick because he ultimately had to share his addiction recovery story because he was forced to in the first place. Because for some reason in our society, we feel like that's something we should be ashamed of.
Goes along with that stigma.
So hypocritical. This whole situation is so hypocritical. You see all these people.
Well, I want you to get better. I want you to feel better. You can do it. I know it's hard.
But the second someone does something you don't like or you disagree with, that goes out the window and it's go overdose. I hope you're like, what? Why are we weaponizing mental health? Why are we weaponizing addiction? Do we understand there's an epidemic in this country? Do we understand that death by drug overdose has risen in this country? That we have a problem? Yet we're just going to say, hey, F that. Let me say some mean comments which could lead this person to a horrible state in their mental health. But we don't care about that. When they do something bad, we'd rather use what people are struggling with to hurt them. Our empathy goes out the window. We don't care anymore.
Oh, yay, mental health. We need to talk about it. Addiction, we're at the stigma. We need to normalize. More people are dealing with addiction every day. Whether they say we're in an epidemic, we need to understand, we need to get treatment, we need to do this.
But the second someone does something you don't like, it's
F that. Go relapse. Go use your drug of choice. We don't care. Oh, you're just using it for sympathy now.
Pick a side. Pick a side. Because this is disheartening. Because this goes with anybody. It doesn't matter if you don't like the person. You should never wish pain, suffering on anybody. Ever. Because the first thing you should really do is put yourself in these people's shoes. Think about what you would want in return if it was you. Because this goes with any situation. It's not just with addiction and recovery or mental health. This goes with anything. It's not that hard to sit back and think, how would I want to be treated if I was in that person's situation? How hard is that? I don't understand. Weaponizing mental health and addiction is never going to be okay. It's not okay. Because ultimately, you would never walk up to someone who just got out of chemo because they had cancer and say, I hope your cancer comes back. You would never walk up to someone who is living with any type of chronic illness and say, I hope you continue suffering. You wouldn't do that. So what makes it so different for people who are living with mental illness or living with addiction? Can you please explain to me where's the difference? Because, it is diagnosable. This is now being considered a disease. Where would you find it okay to walk up to anyone with any type of chronic illness and say, I hope your cancer, your diabetes, any illness you're dealing with comes back? I hope it comes back. I hope you have to deal with it longer. I hope you continue suffering. That's what you're doing when you say, oh, I hope you overdose. I hope you relapse. I think you've relapsed. You probably relapsed. Don't sit on your platform and say, I'm about mental health. I'm about people getting better. But then in the next breath, say, hey, I think he might have relapsed. Nick ended up relapsing. He felt like he had to take time from healing and recuperating and getting better to address the negative comments, the negative videos saying he's garnering sympathy. Who someone in recovery does deserve sympathy. It's not easy. Addiction isn't something you can just get up and continue and swear to God you could just walk away from. It's something that someone is going to deal with for the rest of their lives. It's an illness. And I say it again, you would not walk up to someone and say, I hope your cancer comes back. You would not fix your mouth to weaponize any other illness against somebody. So what makes you think it's okay to weaponize mental health, to weaponize addiction and recovery? What makes you think it's okay to leave negative hate comments on someone about what they're struggling with? I bet if it was you, you wouldn't want that. We're sitting here in this supposed woke time of people understanding mental health is serious, that addiction is serious. We've seen multiple people die from overdoses just in this year. We've been talked about on the news about the epidemic with opioids, with drugs, with prescriptions. Yet, we can still sit here and weaponize this exact struggle against someone? And say they're garnering sympathy because they have to come out and address your trash behavior? 2020 and we're still weaponizing mental health and, oh my God, and addiction. 2020, it makes sense for me, guys. Make it make sense. I don't care if you don't like the person. I don't care if this person has trash individual characteristics. I don't care. You never wish someone pain, struggling, hurt. If you have some type of moral standing, some type of moral grounding. There are plenty of people I distaste
with the bottom of my being.
But I would never turn around and weaponize their addiction, their mental health against them. Why? Because all that does is perpetuate stigmas, stereotypes, judgments, discrimination, all of that. What you're ultimately doing is trying to feel better than that person. You can feel better than that person without weaponizing illnesses. You can talk about other behaviors and characteristics about that person without weaponizing mental health and freaking addiction. Because a person who is dealing with mental health issues, a person who is living with addiction is no less than you are, no less than me, no less than anybody. Deserve as much respect as anyone who's dealing with cancer, anyone living with a chronic illness, incurable disease, deserve just as much respect. Because I bet you wouldn't take your butt up and sit there and tell these people you wish their cancer came back, you wish that they would have to go into chemo again. You wouldn't do it. So don't do it to people in mental health. Don't do it to people in freaking recovery. Don't sit here and wish them relapse. Don't sit here and wish that they go out and get back into their addiction. Don't sit here and speculate on what's going on with their illness because you are not them. You are not them. Practice what you preach. You're about breaking stigmas. You're about uplifting and understanding mental health and addiction. Then when it comes to that, shut your mouth. Don't hint about it. Don't say nothing about it. There's plenty of other things people can talk about when it comes to people. It doesn't have to come down to your addiction or mental health issues. And that's just point blank, period. Because I personally feel, yes, he might have said that it had no issue with it. He doesn't really understand what made him relapse. But I can damn well guarantee these comments, these wishings of relapse and stating he's using and doing this and his behaviors is this and all of that didn't help.
Period.
It's trash. It's straight trash behavior. And I need people to sit down and do some real moral inventory, really put yourself in someone else's situation and try to understand how would you feel if they did that to you. Don't care if it's because they have a platform, they put themselves out there. Who gives a flying crap? Because at the end of the day, these people are still people. And that's just it. I'm done because I'll end up going off even longer in this video. Let me know down in the comments how you guys feel. I get it. People can be trash in other ways, but I don't like weaponizing of mental health and addiction. I don't like it. People do it way too much. We're trying to break this stigma. We're trying to normalize and understand addiction and recovery and mental health. I don't like seeing it get weaponized. So you guys let me know your guys' feelings down below in the comment section. Tell me what you agree with, what you don't agree with. If you made it this far and haven't subscribed, don't be afraid to hit the subscribe button. If you want, hit the bell so that way you're also notified every time I post a video. Next video is going to be back to normal, but unless something pops up, who knows? But I want to just have a conversation with you guys and share some of my frustrations. I thank you guys so much. I appreciate y'all watching. I'll catch y'all on Twitter. Bye.